Hey guys, I am going to the movies again! It hasn't been that long. I went and saw Voyages, and now, tonight, I'm gonna go see The Unholy. Is it The Unholy or just Unholy? I think it's The Unholy. Anyway, I'm excited to see this one because it has been very iffy what's going on IMDb. It is currently rated at 5.1 out of 900 votes, but I smell a rat because a lot of these votes are 10, giving it 10 out of 10s. I was scrolling through and it was all 10s and 8s and 9s. It just doesn't really add up. So should be interesting. Again, this is one I'm going in completely blind to. I don't watch trailers if I know I'm gonna see the film anyway. So I have stayed away from it, but I did see the start of the blurb, and I do know that this film is based on the Gothic novel Shrine by James Herbert. And from what I've seen on the blurb, it's about a deaf girl who is visited by the Holy Mary and regains her ability to hear. And funny enough, the film is produced by Sam Raimi, which is very exciting and interesting. And also the director, who I cannot say his last name for the life of me, I'm not even gonna bother. This is his directing debut, but he's done a lot of work in film, particularly for writing. He's done a lot of screenplay writing and additional screenplay work in films like Beauty and the Beast, the recent remake from 2017, Jungle Book 2, Tarzan 2, lots of sequels and lots of additional writing. So it's very interesting to go from that kind of work to straight horror, because this one is, the genre it gives on IMDb is straight up horror, which is quite rare. Usually it's mixed with something else. So I'm very interested. Obviously he was inspired by the book, and he did write or adapt, I guess, to screenplay, write and direct this one. So I don't know. I'm very interested. But the detail that everyone knows about this film is it does star Jeffrey Dean Morgan. It also stars Cricket Brown and William Sadler. Other than that, I'm going in blind and I'm hoping for the best, but I don't know. As I said, something fishy is going on with those IMDb scores. I do also want to say, again, I'm going to pin the comment this time if you want to know about the situation with the pandemic in my location as to why we're not wearing masks. I just think it's important to say every time. I know it's annoying for people who already know, but I do get lots of comments about it, or comments about why I can't talk about it. Yeah, you should look into that if you are curious why I don't talk about it on YouTube. There's a reason. Anyway, stay watching if you want to see what I think and whether it is worth your time and your money. Let's go see The Unholy. Friends. It can be fixed. This can be fixed. No, I don't think it can, actually. Oh god, let me turn this off. My god, guys, that was so awkward. And not in the good way. Like, I like me some awkward cinema. Wow. I feel like it could be fixed though. Anyway, the film is, like I said, it's about a small town. I'll give you a little bit of a more interesting backstory that they probably should have put on. I mean, that was fine to include, but I think that more of the context into the main character would have been good. So the main character of the film is Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and he's actually a journalist who is now working for like the bottom of the barrel, like scraping the barrel publications, including one that does unusual, you know, like paranormal events, which, I mean, they say that's like the lowest of the low, but actually to me it's like the high and the mighty. But anyway, different story for a different time. He is a journalist for them, and he goes out for something that they called in about a cow, and he just happens to be in the right place at the right time, because although that first story falls through, he happens to witness a miracle. This film was, it was weird because, I mean, obviously I saw it in the cinema, but it was not cinematic at all. It felt like a Lifetime movie. It had no real lead up. The reactions, I'm like all over the place because it was just startling. The reactions of the actors, although Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a good actor, the reactions were insane because it's not an overreaction like you would think in a Lifetime-esque movie, which is, I guess, what I'm calling it now. It was underreacting. They would literally see something horrific and then just walk out into the next scene. It was bizarre. But this is all because, and my theory is that they're reacting to a lot of CGI in these scenes, so in turn maybe they don't know what they were meant to be reacting to. And in saying that, the main issue with this film and where it could be fixed is it gives away everything from the very beginning. From the very beginning, they set up the whole idea of this miracle and where it could have come from, and you know straight away. As a horror lover, as someone who watches movies, you can put all the pieces together, and it's just like watching this horrendously, badly put together film play out, and you know exactly what's going to happen. So there's no surprises, I don't think. But also they reveal their cards in terms of the CGI and the entity. You see the entity everywhere from the very start, and this film is full of jump scares. It is, I mean, I jumped once, I can't lie, I did jump, but I mean, it was like there was nowhere else to look, and they really went for it, and they didn't care. They wanted to be full of jump scares. So if you are into jump scares, maybe you'll like this one, which I'm not. I don't hate jump scares, but I do think there's a time and a place, and a time for it to be well timed, and in this film they were just everywhere whenever. And this is from the very beginning. The film just really wanted to show you the entity straight from the start, and leave nothing up to an element of surprise with the story or with what the entity looks like. Although there is a bigger reveal towards the end, it was kind of unnecessary at that point. It was too much, and the CGI effects of the entity, it's just completely computer generated, and I just, like, is no one listening to us? As horror lovers, I don't know anyone who's like, dude, I'm all about the CGI, please, no practical effects, and please reveal the monster from the get-go. A lot of people do want a monster or an entity reveal, but they like to hold on to the mystery for a little while, maybe see something move in the shadows. This one is just straight up, and when you see what the person who receives the miracle sees for the first time, my god, it's like, it's laughable. It's absolutely horrendous, and that's what gave me the kind of Hallmark Lifetime movie-esque moment. It was ridiculous, and I mean, the actors had what they had, but what they had to react to was just insane. Insanity. And especially to see that and then to walk into another scene and be okay with it, it just wasn't adding up. It wasn't flowing right. It was predictable. It was in your face. It was just a lot. I really do think that this film could have worked. I'm a big fan of religious aspects in films, and I do like the story, and obviously I said it comes from a book, so it makes sense that the story is there, and I think it's quite an interesting story that I think there's probably a couple of horror movies Yeah, there are a couple of horror movies I can think off the top of my head that kind of follow the same idea. But in this film, they revealed the whole thing. There really wasn't a twist where there should have been. And they just went in for the kill instead of letting it turn into a mystery horror. And that's probably why we see horror as the only genre for this film, because it really didn't try and put any other elements into it or make an interesting story where you really bonded with any of the characters. Morgan's character was alright, I guess, but he was just... he didn't react properly to situations, so you just weren't really sure what his intentions were. They try and give him a good arc, but I'm just not buying it at this point. I think that they should have taken all of the CGI out, put in a couple of shadows, and if they want to do a huge reveal scene at the end, go for it. But don't add all these like smokes and chains and fire, and it was doing the absolute most, and it just did not feel like a movie that should be at the cinema. Like, it just did not feel cinema worthy for me. And I usually don't do this, but I would not recommend seeing this in the cinema. It almost made it worse because it was so big and so in your face, and you were able to really dissect everything, even down to small details like there's this scene in the film where they frame the characters talking, and this big statue of Mary like on the side, and you can see Mary as they're talking about a situation, and obviously she's a huge symbol in the film, so it makes sense. But then later, towards the end of the film, they have this wide shot, and you can actually see the statue of Mary is like this big. Like, it just, nothing added up. You could see how they played it all. You could see how they framed it all. There was no movie magic in this film. On top of the CGI, they also included very strange, like, cutaway elements, including, like, a news report, which is, you know, like, flashes up with a news report. It's not someone watching it on TV. It's, like, on the full screen, which is just so cheap. They also did, like, this whole, like, social media kind of montage, and they also had some people who are affected by the situation, from home, and they were kind of showing this like story back and forth between this character to show the influence this situation had on other people, and I felt like it just cheapened it. It took you out of the moment. It was trying to obviously make it seem so like this, it was having a lot of reach. I get why it was in there, but it just was not, yeah, cinematic for me. I felt like I was aware the whole time that I was watching actors act or react to CGI, to elements. I didn't feel like I was sucked into the movie. You know, when you go see a film, sometimes, like, is this a weird thing to say, but you have like a, not out of body experience, but you're in the film, like you're watching the film. But I was very aware that I was in a cinema with seats, and I was very aware of everything around me. I wasn't really like glued to the screen and like in there with them. I wasn't feeling the emotions. There was no tension. It was just boring and watching this thing play out very slowly and very poorly. That was a very confusing and awkward experience. I just don't understand. I guess, yeah, I just don't understand that movie. I mean, I get it, but I don't understand how it got to the cinema. Like, I feel bad for everyone involved. Yeah, I don't normally tear films apart, you know me. I normally give some credit. I do like the base story, I can say that, and also I do think if they dial back stuff, they could recut this pretty easily. Just take out all of the CGI and just leave the blank the blank shot with no one in there. That might work. I do think that there was ways they could have saved this film, and unfortunately it just revealed all its cards, and the reactions to the CGI were just totally didn't make any sense to me. It was a bizarre ride. I'm gonna give this film a 3 out of 10. Yeah, I've been saying all year, or for the last, 6 months, I am so happy and pleased to go to the cinema, and I am, don't get me wrong, but I was saying I'm happy to see anything, but that definitely, I don't think it's worth your time. If you want to watch it from home for sure. Originality, I'm gonna give it 4, and scare, I'm gonna give it a 4. I'm gonna give it a 4 for scare because it does have some jump scares. I did jump at one stage, but it was like just based on jump scares. It wasn't based on the thing being creepy at all, because again, it reveals it from the start, so you're very aware with what you're working with. I just don't like things jumping out into my face. It was more of a shock moment than, you know, actually being scared by the situation. I just want to address quickly that some of you guys really like when I do the trailer reactions at the end of my videos. I actually can't do them for all videos. The reason I only do select ones is because I know the select movies that I can watch as a trailer reaction, and YouTube will allow it and I won't get copywritten. So that's why sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't. So unfortunately for this film I cannot. I just wanted to let you guys know that. I wish I could do it every time, trust me. I hope you're all having a lovely day. Thank you so much for all of your amazing feedback on my video about Gaspar Noé. I really loved reading your responses, and I'm so happy that I spent so long on that video and you guys appreciated it so much, so I appreciate that. If you did like this video or find it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It does help me out. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And even more so, if you have seen this film, let me know what you think down below. I'm dying to hear what everyone else thought about this film and what the heck was going on with that crazy IMDb scoring. Obviously, something fishy is going on. I don't want to say it, but something fishy is going on, especially with the 10s. Come on. That's reaching. But I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, guys.